on the editors.
So we'll open up the audience in a minute, but I'd like to start off with a question. This is open to the both of you. How did you guys both get on this project, and what was the collaboration process like?
Well, I've worked with Susan and Jessica, who sent their regrets, they wish they could be here, for 15 years. We've been making films together. So I was busy directing a film called The James, and Jessica and Susan started on this, and I finished up The James and slid right onto this. Luckily, it's been a joyous process.
Yeah, back in 2023, I was asked to come on and pitch in a couple of months on the project, I think. And that was 2 years ago. And then things happened, and I ended up staying on for a much longer period of time. So, and yeah, collaborating with Jessica and Susan and Emma have just been great.
So this documentary had so many archival footage. What was the process of like navigating everything and like putting it all together?
Hellish. These archive films are what we make, so this is always, it's a lot of digging. It is a joy. But this was a lot. This was, the second part is about the same length, so we're nearing 5 hours of film by the end. And we had Billy's archive to dig through and the wider world. And, he's been in pop culture for 50 years. So it was just a seemingly endless pit that we were digging through. I think we did an incredible job really pulling out the gems. I'm really proud of the archive. And thank you to HBO and Lisa and Nancy and Sarah for giving us the time to, get the proper transfers done on the archive and make everything look and sound the way that it should. It's an incredible responsibility making these films, telling people's these kinds of national treasures story. This is the definitive film, the one that Billy will sit for. And you want to do it right. You want it to sound good and look good. So, So thanks to HBO for giving us the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and it was really important for us to have a really strong team behind us as editors. We had really incredible assistant editors and associate producers who just spent hours and hours and hours just going through all the material, finding the best stuff, recommending, making suggestions, changing the edit because they find something that's amazing and they show it to us and we say, okay, that's going to change the whole scene because this is an unmissable piece of footage. And even now, kind of late in the process, maybe not with episode 1 so much, but with episode 2, we're still finding stuff. We're like, oh, okay, maybe that needs to make it in there because that's really, really good. So it's been kind of an ever evolving, like Emma said, it's like when a guy's been in the public eye for decades, it's really hard to decide what makes it and what doesn't. And having a really strong team behind us really helped with that. That was really helpful.
Thank you. I'd like to open this up to the audience. If anyone has a question, you can raise your hands.
Hi. Can you tell us the process of working with Billy Joel and getting his permission to do this?
Yeah, again, Susan Lacy, she's the, in my opinion, in many people's opinion, the gold standard for these kinds of films. She started the American Masters series, as I'm sure many of you in the audience know. And so I have been benefited from that these top tier cultural figures trust her because she's worked so hard for so many years to, she's been doing these kinds of profile pieces long before it was the big business that it is today. So I think a lot of it was her name and her reputation, that Billy was willing to trust her with his name and his reputation, and her and Jessica, our company's experience with, where we want to put the money, that we want to do a lot of interviews with Billy over a long period of time so that, he can really sit in this process and open up over time with Susan and with Jessica. I think everybody's sort of a reluctant participant at the beginning, even if they've agreed to do it. It's invasive, it's hard. We demand a lot of it. We shouldn't do it unless we're going to do it right. And so he went with us, and as I'm sure all of you know, he's been going through health issues. So he had his own, which is the nature of these kinds of films. People have their own lives that carry on over the 4 years that you're making these films, and in real time are going through trials and tribulations. And so he was wonderful and open and and honest, which is really the most important thing. He really went there for us. We're very grateful for that. So A+, Billy Joel.
Congratulations on your work. Can you tell me the status of part 2?
Well, it's mixed. It's almost all colored. It's being delivered to HBO soon, we hope. But like I said, every now and then you find a gem. Like literally today, I'm going to share a story. Literally today, I found a shot that I said that has to go in the closing montage because it's an amazing shot of Billy that I hadn't seen before, and it had just been transferred over, from our partners at Maritime Media, which is where Billy has his media, and I said that has to go in the closing montage. So.
And then I said, God damn it, James.
Pretty much. You kind of like, as the edit evolves, you always find stuff, and you always look to improve, and eventually you have to say pencils down, but that won't be for another few days. Hopefully.
But it'll be out in July.
Yes.
Both parts on HBO.
Yeah, episode 1 is July 18th.
Yeah.
July.
Mid-July.
Second row.
Really good at that time at Grammy. Said 10 years, really good at rights back on music.
Say that again.
How long did it take for him to get his life back, his rights back to his music?
I don't know the details of that settlement. It was a long road with Artie. It was life-changing. I mean, heartbreaking. This is an angry young man who didn't have his father, and he sort of finds these father figures, and I think Artie revealed himself early on, but stuff happens with Frank Weber. It keeps sort of happening, and it's very hard on Billy, on his confidence, on his ability to trust himself. It changes, he has to keep being out on the road, keep working, being away from his marriage. All of these choose your own adventure decisions impact. So I don't remember the specifics, but it was aggravating for sure, and I think truly heartbreaking. I think it's, you're vulnerable, you just want to play the piano and sing, and you have to contend with this nasty business.
It's true, Clive Davis couldn't even help him, with that, so.
Yeah. It turns out okay.
Besides the fact that it's Tribeca, how do you decide where you're going to place a movie like this? Were there other considerations? Not looking to get you in trouble, but.
Well, we talked about Sundance. We talked about, where we wanted to submit. We already knew, HBO came in at the beginning on this. God bless him. And so we were fine in that way, but we wanted to have a festival premiere to be able to show it to audiences. It's such a special thing. But Billy's a New York guy. I mean, it was if Tribeca would have us, that's where we wanted to go. And it made so much sense for Billy. It made so much sense for us, for New York women making films. And we knew that to premiere the film in this city that we all love, that Billy loves, that he wrote songs about, that's undeniable. It had to be. So we're very happy that it all worked out.
Thank you, there.
Can you divulge what the budget was?
Good try though.
The person in the back.
I was wondering if you could maybe speak to a little of the editing side of it. It was impressive, first of all, an incredible film overall, but impressive how much of this catalog you were able to include, even in short snippets and interludes, throughout the first only half of the documentary. And I'm just curious what that process was like selecting and finding the right places to include so much of the catalog. And if there was anything that you felt like you wish you could have included but hadn't do that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Billy's music it kind of runs the gamut of emotions, obviously. He has ballads, he has kind of rockin' hits, he has all sorts of music. And so, when you're cutting a scene, you think, okay, do I need to tell the story of a song here, or am I using a song as kind of background emotionality? And so, certain songs, obviously, we wanted to tell the story of, like the hits, and some of the smaller songs as well that we felt like were important to sort of tell the story of, because it spoke to what Billy was going through at that point in his life. And then sometimes, if we had a scene that needed just some music, we would find something from his amazing catalog that would fit that emotion of that scene. So yeah, we spent a lot of time kind of going back and forth on what songs made sense in what places, and it was hard. And some songs didn't make it, and it killed me to not include certain songs. And it was tough. It was tough. But every piece of music is Billy's. It's we didn't have anything that wasn't Billy's music in that. Susan Isco really felt that was very important to just showcase Billy's music as not just this is the story of the music, but this is what the music can make an audience feel, and that's kind of what we tried to do in the edit.
I'll just add one really quick thing to that. I think also the notion was that Billy's songs are sort of a roadmap to his life, that they're so connected that there was a song for everything. Every plot point, every turn we wanted to make. I think you would agree with that. Like, I think sometimes it took a little bit of digging, but he writes about himself, about his life, and I think what Sean says at the end, that if Billy could express himself, he might not have made all these songs, and what a gift that is. Really sort of is the heart of the film in a way. So that made it easier.
We have time for one more question over there.
Yeah, hi. I hope you can hear me. Amazing film, thank you. I cannot wait for part 2. You mentioned working with Billy Joel's archive. What kind of state did you find that in? How hard was that to work with, or how easy was that?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I wasn't here at the very, very beginning of the film. That Jess and Susan sort of dove in at the beginning when it was in its most chaotic state. Billy had an archivist who passed away, and so things were in a weird place when we picked things up, and some of it was like a little. We were joking like, how does he have this organized? Is this like songs or like things that remind him of the color blue? Like what? I don't understand. So it was like it took some digging and figuring out. But there was so much work of collecting things there. I mean, it really was so deep. And it's such a lifetime of photographs, of footage. So many pictures were taken of this man. I mean, that's where the joyous part comes in, is that you're uncovering this stuff that has never seen the light of day, and you get to share it and put it in here. So it always takes some work. I mean, I don't think we've come across a perfectly organized archive yet, but that makes it exciting.
And just to add to that, we were really fortunate to work with some people who have worked with Billy for many, many years, and you see in the film how he has this incredible loyalty to people that work with him, and so we had this kind of immediate access to this absolute encyclopedia of knowledge from various people in his team, and we could say, hey, did Billy ever perform in Boston in 1983? And we would get email back 5 minutes later, yeah, it was September, it was at this venue, we don't have video, but we have stills, and here's the recording. And that was the kind of, just ready access that we had, which would be impossible to do this film without. So thanks to those guys, it was, really, really made it a lot easier.
Well, thank you to both of you for being here.